The light bulb invention. Everyone gets wrong. You've probably heard that Thomas Edison invented the light bulb in 1879. It's in almost every textbook, every trivia night, every great inventors list. It's not true. By the time Edison even started working on it, at least 20 other inventors had already built working light bulbs, some of them decades earlier. So why does Edison get all the credit, and who actually deserves it? The real story is stranger, more competitive, and honestly more interesting than the version you were taught in school. The battery that started. Everything before anyone could build a light bulb, they needed something that didn't exist yet, a steady source of electricity. That problem was solved in 1800 by an Italian physicist named Alessandro Volta. He stacked alternating disks of zinc and copper, separated by cloth soaked in brine, and discovered that connecting them with a wire produced a continuous electric current. He called it the voltaic pile. Today we just call it a battery. Without Volta's invention, there is no light bulb story at all. Every experiment that follows, every glowing wire, every aha moment, depends on this stack of metal discs built 2 years before Napoleon crowned himself emperor. The first glow. Just 2 years later, in 1802, an English chemist named Humphry Davy took Volta's battery and connected it to a thin strip of carbon. The carbon glowed. It was the first time in recorded history that a person had made light using electricity. Davy called it the electric arc lamp, and it was almost immediately impractical. It burned far too brightly for indoor use, and it burned out in minutes. But Davy had proven something important. Electricity could be turned into light. The next 70 years would be spent by different inventors in different countries, all racing to answer the same question: how do you make that glow last? The decades no one talks about this is the part of the story that usually gets skipped. In 1835, a Scottish inventor named James Bowman Lindsay demonstrated a constant electric light. In 1840, Warren de la Rue sealed a coiled platinum filament inside a vacuum tube, technically closer to a modern light bulb than anything before it. The problem: platinum was, and still is, extremely expensive. It worked, but nobody could afford to make it. In 1841, a bulb using this same basic concept was patented in England by Frederick de Moleyns. That's nearly 40 years before Edison's famous demonstration, already patented, already working, just not yet affordable or long-lasting enough to sell. Then in 1875, two Canadians, Henry Woodward and Matthew Evans, patented their own version of an incandescent lamp. They couldn't raise the money to bring it to market, so they did something that would end up changing history. They sold their patent to a young American inventor named Thomas Edison, the other man who invented the light bulb. Here's the part almost nobody learns in school. In 1878 and early 1879, before Edison's famous demonstration, an English chemist named Joseph Swan was already giving public demonstrations of a working incandescent lamp. He experimented with carbonized paper, then moved to carbonized cotton thread, and got results good enough to show off in front of audiences. Swan is considered by many historians to be just as responsible for inventing the light bulb as Edison is. Some argue more so, since his public demonstrations came first. So if Swan had a working bulb before Edison, why isn't his name the one everyone remembers? What Edison actually did. Edison didn't invent the light bulb from scratch. What he did was something arguably harder. He took the best ideas that already existed, the vacuum sealing, the filament concept, the patents he bought from Woodward and Evans, and he perfected them into something that could actually be manufactured, sold, and installed in ordinary homes. On October the 22nd, 1879, Edison achieved a bulb using a carbonized filament that lasted far longer than anything before it. He waited about a month, filed his patent, and then announced it publicly on December 31st, 1879, at his lab in Menlo Park. By 1880, his commercial version, using a carbonized bamboo filament, could last around 600 hours. That was the number that mattered. Not does it glow, but can I sell this to a family and have it survive the winter? Edison didn't just invent a product, he built the first practical electrical lighting system to go with it, wiring, meters, switches, the entire infrastructure that made a light bulb useful in a real house. That's the part that made him rich, and the part that made his name the one that stuck.